She was the most powerful woman at the Saxon court, lover and mistress of Augustus the Strong. But without trial, without charges, she was banished to Stolpen, to a life behind walls that would last 49 years. This is the story of Anna Constantia, Countess of Cosel. Christmas 1716. Anna Constantia arrives in Stolpen. She is 36 years old. No charges, no trial, no opportunity to defend herself. Just a fortress and a life that abruptly ends. She will see 5 fortress commanders come and go. She outlives Augustus the Strong by 32 years. Even the news of the death of his legitimate son reaches her. Old, forgotten behind black walls, Cosel takes up residence on a floor of the armory, 5 rooms. Below her, the large castle kitchen, the dining hall, a guardroom, and a magazine full of weapons. In 1717, she learns that Augustus the Strong has had his marriage contract reinstated. A glimmer of hope, for she believes, as soon as the contract is back in his hands, he will release her. But nothing happens. On the contrary, in 1719 he even took pillnits from her. Cosel begs for an explanation, for a word, for a debt that can be named, but she receives no answer. She opens a window. Before her, the basalt cone drops steeply into the valley. Walls and towers, themselves made of black basalt, rise heavy and silent against the sky. At the foot of the slope she sees the game park. The slopes are kept bare for security reasons. Stolpen seems like a place that drains all life energy. At night, she hears the snoring of the guards from the room below her bedroom. And yet, on clear summer days, she can see as far as Bohemia. From the windows facing north, she overlooks the 4th courtyard, the heart of the fortress. The armory lies on the south side. Here sun and light stream into the rooms. A last vestige of warmth in a life that increasingly confines Countess Cosel. In 1718, while still housed in the princely residence, Countess Cosel found a way to secretly smuggle letters out of the fortress to earn some money. Her signal was simple. At the right moment, she dropped a handkerchief from the window. Lieutenant Helm picked it up. Discreetly, gallantly. For this act he was sentenced to death, but he survived. 3.5 years of imprisonment in the fortress, then he was released. Only because of his good connections at court. A small ray of light in a grim system and proof of how dangerous any contact with the Countess was. In the armory stands her library, a quiet place, a refuge in the heart of the fortress. The Countess amassed around 3,000 volumes during her 49 years of captivity. Philosophy, physics and chemistry, theology and history, German and French works, every line, a piece of a world she was no longer allowed to enter. Between the shelves stand 2 suitcases, containing her silverware, a last vestige of luster that remained while everything else was lost. Over the years, significant damage became apparent in the building. Cracks in the walls, damp patches, and crumbling masonry. On May 5, 1731, the Countess wrote to Count Wackerbart, reporting the damage as the structural problems had become considerable. Anna Constantia was now 51 years old. She had been living in the armory for 15 years, and even her prison was beginning to deteriorate. In April 1744, the event that finally ended her time in the armory occurred. A stove collapsed, injuring the Countess. She could no longer remain. The rooms had become too dangerous. Living there befitting her station had never been possible anyway. But moving to the Johannes Tower meant a further loss of comfort. Anna Constantia was now in her 70s. However, she was not completely cut off from the armory. The parapet walk on the south side of the 3rd courtyard connected the 2 buildings. This allowed the Countess to leave the tower without being exposed to the guards' view or the elements. In the corridor itself stand locked wall cupboards, containing pottery, brass and tin teapots and coffee pots, candlesticks, beer and wine glasses, everyday objects neatly stored away, as if waiting for a life that will never return. In the St. John's Tower, the miller sits by a stove. A winter day, gray and windy. The smoke drifts slowly up the chimney. She turns her back to the warmth, her gaze drifting around the room. A moment of silence, and then the images and memories return. October 17, 1680. Anna Constantia von Brockdorff was born at Gutdepenau in Hallstein. Her childhood is spent almost entirely in the manor house. Her father, a colonel in the service of the Danish king, is only home in winter and spring, but during this time he shapes his daughter. He teaches her to shoot with a pistol and a rifle. He teaches her to fence with a rapier. He puts her on horseback, both side saddle and saddle. The girl becomes a daring rider, accurate, fast, and passionate in the hunt. From her mother, she learns to brew beer and distill brandy, the panacea of the estate women. Brandy against gout, against pain, against the ailments of the time, as long as it is not consumed in excess. It is a childhood full of discipline, craftsmanship, physical strength, and skills one would scarcely expect from a woman of her time. To find distraction, the lady of the manor often descends into the kitchen cellar. There she distills water, a habit from her youth. She uses it for personal hygiene as a small ritual in a world that leaves her with almost nothing. In the cellar she also mixes herbs. She makes ointments, beauty treatments, and remedies for illnesses. Work that calms her and gives her a sense of control. But in the autumn of 1721, the homemade remedies no longer helped. Anna Constantia falls gravely ill. She refuses to touch the medications given to her by the fortress commander. Her fear of being poisoned is too great. She trusts only the apothecary down in the village. His preparations slowly bring her back to health. During her convalescence and in quieter moments, she devotes herself to needlework, sewing, embroidery, small tasks that structure her time. A newly installed chimney allows for the installation of stoves in the tower. In the lowest room, they even set up a small kitchen for her, complete with an open hearth. A sandstone drain stands at the western window. It allows for the disposal of water and waste without having to open the window. This is her daily life. Work, illness, small routines, and a life lived in cramped quarters. On February 1, 1733, Augustus the Sage died and was buried in the crypt of Krakow Cathedral. Fortress Commander Bobek initially tries to conceal the news from the Countess, but she learns of it in March. And for the first time in many years, hope begins to stir. She believes her captivity can now end. But nothing changes. Despite everything, Anna Constantia mourns Augustus. She wears black. She marks her letters with a black mourning border, a silent sign for a man who once loved her and yet abandoned her. The new king, his son, has no intention of freeing her. He fears for his father's reputation and the prestige of the House of Wettin. The Countess remains where she is, isolated, forgotten, without any prospect of mercy. In her old age, the Countess used only one room, a small cramped room on the first floor of the Johannes Tower. For 15 years it had been without wallpaper. There were only old, dilapidated chairs, a few small, simple wooden tables, and a large bed without curtains. She owned nothing more. Anna Constantia dressed simply. As a very elderly woman, she had only a few servants left, and she no longer used the valuable objects that remained. In the face of death, things lose their meaning. The once glamorous socialite of the Dresden court had become a lonely, forgotten old woman. Her life had been reduced to the bare necessities. The smoke from the lamp blackened the room. It hung from the ceiling in the middle of the room and had to burn from evening until morning. The soot settled so thickly on the walls that the pointer of the lamp could no longer be seen. After her death, some old laundry was found in a locked container. A few bowls of flour and baked fruit. Spring and summer have passed. The Countess is getting older and quieter at the same time. She spends many hours of intensive Bible study. Finally, she turned to Judaism. In her old age, she lived according to Jewish precepts. A personal step, an act of inner freedom in a life that outwardly offered little room for maneuver. In 1765, her long life came to an end. Anna Constantia died at the age of 85 in the Johannisturm Tower. Her son, Friedrich August, Count von Cosel, became her universal heir to her still considerable fortune. As early as 1719, her possessions amounted to 828,582 talkers. In March 1760, Anna Constantia drew up her will. Her son was named as her principal heir. She wished to be laid to rest on the Scharfenberg hill near Langenwulmsdorf, not far from Stolpen, but this wish remained unfulfilled. On April 4, 1765 at 3 p.m. she was buried. Her son was present, as was his wife, Countess von Holzendorf. A detachment of the garrison provided the honor guard. A quiet end for a woman whose life had once begun brilliantly, and who became a legend within the walls of Stolpen. In the end, all that remained of her splendor was a dark room, a simple bed, and the memory of a life that once captivated the courts of Europe. Yet, it was precisely in her captivity that Anna Constantia displayed more strength than many recognized during her lifetime. Her books, her rituals, her faith, her unwavering resolve. All of this allowed her to endure. Her story, her courage, and her dignity have never left Stolpen.